Fitting the top wing. Now, fitting a biplane is never easy, but I'll show you how I go about it. Now, I've got some foam board here. It's 5mm thick. It's not very expensive, and what I've done is I've got the plan, put the foam board underneath, use my carbon copy paper and trace round, okay, including the struts, okay, and then I cut it out, and you'll note that it's flat on the top, curved on the bottom obviously, but that gives you the angle of incidence in relation to the bottom wing, okay, and it also tells you that the top wing is laying flat and how it should be. Now, I'm going to wick in the interstruts and the cabanes. These are the cabanes here, and when I know that's all settled, I will put the rear struts in, which is namely these, because they have to rest on top of where the boom goes in, and I don't know the exact measurement of that until I've got it all in place. And if I keep moving it and try and measuring things, the top wing's going to keep falling off. So I'm pretty confident I can do that. Okay, so that's my method for putting on the top wing. So none of that's been glued, it's all dry at the moment, and once I'm sure I've got it lined up. But also look at the leading edge from above and just double check that that's in line with the bottom wing leading edge as well. So if that looks right and straight and that's in line and everything, you should be okay. Alright, you can go into the science of it, but you know, why overcomplicate something that's already complicated? It's frustrating at times, but this is going on okay, so there you go. Good luck with yours. Well, the top wing is on, and I've done a trial fit of the booms, and surprisingly they went in quite well. I wasn't sure whether they would. Yeah, it looks alright. A little bit earlier I had the undercarriage on temporarily, and I just had to put the tail on and the rudder on, just, you know, not gluing it or anything, just to see how it would turn out. And I have to say, even my good lady wife said, wow, that looks really nice. So enthusiasm is coming back again. I mean, I've worked on this every single day for the last 6-7 weeks, probably 7 weeks now. I'm just about to go off and have a weekend away without touching any models or anything, take my good lady away. So yeah, I'm going to take a rest, and my good friend Mr. Cliff Harvey of RC Models will no doubt overtake me now. Yeah, it's starting to look like an aircraft. So there we go, and I'll stick this on the video pile for editing later or next week, and hopefully get somewhere. There's a lot to do. Got the control wires here. There, that's for the rudder. They've got to go through this part here, through there, and then go up that way. So yeah, I'm hoping this is going to be strong enough. Really unsure about that. Anyway, there you go. Well, starting on the putting the booms into the wings and getting them all lined up. This is, I suppose you could call it the king post, the triangle that goes at the very back of the boom. This is only soft balsa. using it partly because of weight, but what I will do to strengthen it up is I'm going to wrap this in some normal printing paper and soak it with CA glue, and that will strengthen that right up. And once I have that in place, well, once it's dried, I'll put a bit of black paint over it and then wrap some sewing cord around it just to keep it on place in the boom. So that's how I'm going to strengthen that up. Okay, so there's a nice topical tip for you. Well, here we are. That's drying. Well, I'll put some, wait for the paint to dry, I should say. So that should, fingers crossed, strengthen that all up, and because it's black, it'll blend in with the rest of the booms, unless I spray them. And if I spray them, it doesn't matter, they get sprayed as well, won't it? So just waiting for that to all go hard and everything. I'll leave that overnight, and then I can make a proper start and lining up the booms and so forth, and putting the tail on. And I think after that, really, it's a case of putting in the control wires, which would be interesting. Yeah, so there we go. So here's the paper I use, and I'll just use that as the backing so you can see it properly. There you go, black and white. There we go, we're colourblind here. So there you are. On to the next bit. Well, what I've done with that triangle is I have applied it with 2 sets of cotton, just to get it to line up, and I've got it lined up on the plan here, and there you go. So that's hitting the centre line, so I'm happy with that. Not quite sure what's going on there. I'll have to look into that. But the difference to how I've done it and Cliff's done it, Cliff glued all this together before he started the wings or the fuselage, so I didn't want to risk that. But now that I've got that in place there, and I know it's all lined up, I think probably what I'll do is I will mix up some 5-minute epoxy and epoxy this in now, and hopefully that will stay in place, because what this does, this allows you to put the rudder in, gives it something to go to. But I've got to make it absolutely strong, and you know, so it'll take the rudder. So that's what I'm going to do next. And there you are. Right, so just to recap, we've got the balsa strip in here. This is the tail wheel, which hasn't got a tail skid. I've yet to bend that, so I've got to keep remembering about that. And now we have the spacer that goes here. Now it's 3mm thick here and goes down to nothing, and you'll see the dimensions of that on the plan. Now, what are these for? So obviously, as you probably noticed, I had braces top and bottom, but only on one side, and I actually gave up making more braces because I wanted to concentrate on other things. So now I've made those extra braces, put them on the inside. Now you have to score the carbon fibre before you glue these on, so that the carbon fibre tubing, not tubing, square tubing, is secured either side, so it's less likely to go wrong there. And so once they've all gone off, I'm going to leave that for tonight now because it's getting a bit late. Then tomorrow I'll take all of these off. Oh yes, and I put this strengthener in that's on the plan here, and of course that gets glued on with the strengtheners for the uprights there on the boom. So tomorrow take all these off, and then I can concentrate on the horizontal stabilizer. I've still got to put the horns in for the controls, and once I'm happy about all that, I'll have to strip off a bit of the skin underneath so that it's got some wood to wood contact here. And once I'm happy that's all lined up and everything, I'll glue that on, put the horns in, or put the horns in first, I think might be a better idea, and then that's then in position, let that go off, then come back to the rudder and then put the horn in the rudder and the hinges and everything, put that on, and then we got half a chance of getting the control wires, which are here and there, round to them and see if we can get all the control cables in. And then after that, I think it's a case of getting the undercarriage on. So there's still a bit to do. There's still a bit to do. So let's see how we get on. Okay, there you go. Right then, so fitting the rudder. I didn't quite fit the horizontal stabilizer in the correct place, so I've had to cut a groove in it. I'll show you that in just a second. I've now put in the control horn for the rudder. That's how it goes. That's made of plywood. I think it's, is it 1/8? Yeah, 1/8 plywood I think it is. Put the hinges in and that's already put on. Now here's the thing, right? So I've had to cut slots in the back using the Dremel. There's the slot I've had to make for the rudder. And the reason that's happened is because I'm an idiot. Just an idiot, just messed up. But we all mess up. So what I didn't take into account is that this trailing edge needs to be flush with that back there, and I didn't take that into account. There you go. So getting somewhere, but hey, you know, it's horizontal stabilizers on. I've got to put a bit more glue in there because when I move this, it does sort of move the whole thing, even though I epoxied it on. Strip back the skin, so it's wood to wood, epoxied it, it's still doing that, so I'm going to fill that in now just to secure it, and then I'm going to fit the rudder on, and hopefully tonight, it's 8:15 now, after a long hard day's work, I'm going to see if I can get that rudder fitted on and show that to you, and then tomorrow, yeah, fit the control lines. I think might have to do that in the conservatory because it's got a lot more room in there. So yeah, it's getting closer, going faster than a roller coaster. Oh well, there you go. All right, ears bleeding. In a bit. So the rudder is mounted. Took a little bit of jiggling, but not too bad. I had to straighten the rudder out again using the hot iron, but that was okay. It only took me about a few minutes. If it needs doing again, I can do it. So now we have the vertical stabilizer. Got to go on there. So what I've done is I've marked an equal distance here. That's actually from the center, it's 3 centimeters each way, so a total of 6 from this point here to that point there. So there's the center, and that's going to go on like that there. So once that's on, I'm going to go into the house and pour myself a large whiskey. There you go. And then I shall either put the undercarriage on or do the rigging controls. I think I'll do the rigging controls. That'll make more sense, I think. So there you go for this evening. Right then, so progress. Now what happens is that I put the cables in to the elevator servo. They go through this top link here together, and then they go top and bottom of the elevator, and that's on both sides. Now the rudder comes out of the fuselage, goes through the bottom hoop on the same interstrut, along, and then meets the rudder there. Now, as you may already know, the servos for the ailerons are underneath. They link to this bottom aileron, which then in turn links to the top aileron. Now I'd like to stress at this point I've not tightened these cables up. I'm going to do it tomorrow when I had a good night's sleep and I got time to look at it. But basically they do work. So starting with the ailerons, okay, there we go, and they're working on the opposite side. So they're working, quite happy with them. Throttle, there you go. Rudder, so there you go, that's working. Yeah, you see that? Okay, got to tension those up. And what we've got left, the elevator. So there's the elevator moving now. Okay, it goes all the way back to there. That's the elevator going up and down. Okay, same other side. Alright, so I've got to tension everything out and balance everything all up on that. And then I think I will put the undercarriage on. And then maybe the prop, which I have lying around here somewhere. Yes, I'll put some paper decals on. Because if I do make another one of these, I'm gonna want those decals, so I just thought I'd put the paper ones on for now. Still got the rear skid to do. Cliff has gone one on from me. He's actually put a spring in with a lever, or a levis I suppose, so he's got the proper thing. He didn't tell me he was going to do that, but that's alright, I'm not in competition with him. He just wants to put a lot more detail into his than I want to with this right now. But if I make another one, which I think I will put a lot more detail in it, simply because I will have more time, disposable time to do it. Okay, so there we go. I think that'll do that for now. And looking okay. Good night, Cliff. I'll have to be quick on this one. The battery's getting low. So I've replaced the top decals. This is just plain printing paper, and I use a spray adhesive on it. Same with the number 4 on there, and the same with the sides. I haven't put the ones on the bottom just yet. Just want to know if this flies. Done the same with the rudder. So right, the tyres come off. There you go. Same with the rudder there, if you can see it. I'll stick that back on in a bit. Painted the, well, I didn't paint, I drew on the wooden effect for the prop. I've got to change that for a pusher prop, 9x6. That one's a 9x4.5. Now the CG, this is tail heavy. I'm going to have to push the battery right into the nose and add some lead weight to it, I think, which is a shame. I've weighed this, it comes out at 660 grams, which I think is 10 grams heavier than the design weight, but that's probably because I've put in servos for the ailerons. The original plan does not allow for ailerons, it's just rudder and elevator. So so I've got to balance it. I have to tension the wires for the controls, and I think that's it really. I'm waiting for a pusher prop to come. I think it'd be better with a pusher proper one, but it will fly with that. And as soon as I've done all that, it's ready to maiden. So there you go. Oh yeah, I've bent the tail wheel. Yeah, so that'll go in any direction. But I didn't want to put a spring on it or anything. That's the point. So there we are. That's that'll now just about ready to maiden that now. I'll pop that tyre on. What I'll do is I'll shorten that tyre because that's the reason it's popped off. I know from experience. Okay, so nearly ready to go. Thank you for your time. Well, now we're on to the final part of the build. I forgot to mention the fitting of the undercarriage there. It's been glued. I use white glue on here and here, and then you sew it in with a needle and thread. Now I'll show you the how it's all working. Now I need my radio. Just 1 second, I've put it down somewhere. My apologies, I put the radio on charge and I forgot. Okay, so movements. First we'll start with the motor, just hold it just in case. There you go. Running rather well. Ailerons, fully working. Elevator, take you around a bit, there you go. Up and down. Rudder, all working. And of course we've got the obligatory gun in place. And we have our test pilot, who will sit in there after I've had a bit of a chat with him. So there's only one thing left to do. Everything has been balanced out now. That's the balance point. Centre of gravity 40 millimeters from the leading edge of the top wing. The only thing is I haven't got a crimper to crimp these wires, and I'm waiting to meet a friend in the middle of the week to borrow his crimper, and then it's done. It's ready. It's all ready to go. Everything's working. Okay, you know. So let's do a ground test, and then that basically is the end of the build. The next will be the Maiden. I wonder if I need a bin bag. We'll see.